can't tell you how weird it is to look at videos of yourself for hours. All right. I'd like to do study goal number 22. And again, I'm going to stop at a moment when you can either screenshot or try to copy. And this is probably in your book. You might even have this one. I don't know. This might already be in your notes. But I want to talk about sanitary landfills. And before we get to that, a conceptual thing that introduces a vocabulary term that you're going to need. If you take a coffee filter and you fill it up with coffee grounds and you pour clean water over that coffee, what comes out at the bottom is no longer clean water. Because the hot water that you added to those coffee grounds does some magic where ingredients that are in those dried up beans will pour out once they've gotten wet, and they'll make you a hot liquid that has caffeine and flavors and colors. It's called coffee. And you can do the same thing with like tea. So you can take like your tea leaves and you pour water, and now you got green water, red water, brown water, whatever. And if you take trash and you pour water over it, you get a product called leachate. And that's a vocab term. And leachate is trash tea. And trash tea can be really, really, really bad for you. Like those of you who live on the mesa might know that at the pit, the water is often foul. And that water's foul because it's urban runoff. And it used to be especially foul like 50, 60 years ago because there used to be a landfill in what is now Ealings Park. Ealings is a reclaimed landfill. They built some, what's it called, like a dirt bike course and some baseball diamonds and stuff and soccer fields on top of what used to be a landfill because federal laws made that not okay to use as a landfill anymore because they couldn't keep the trash tea from going down to the beach. And so when we started to protect the ocean in the early 1970s, it fouled up ocean water too much to keep putting trash. And they said, screw it. And they covered it up with grass and they made it into a park. So landfills are just a pile of trash. And if you don't want your trash to make gross water, gross groundwater, if you don't want your trash to fly around and have seagulls spreading used trash bags all over town, then you have to meet some federal laws. A sanitary landfill, number one, has an impermeable liner underneath it. It's either made out of clay or out of rubber, but that impermeable liner does not let water go through. It's like a bathtub or like a kiddie pool. So then when you start to throw trash in there, the rain will pool up on the bottom but not exit. Then number two, you have to collect all of that leachate. So a sanitary landfill has like wells where you can suck out all of that nasty water and you have to deal with it. Number three, you have to compact soil on top of it. Every single day, bulldozers drive over it and they cover it with dirt so that seagulls and animals can't take stuff away, and so that rainfall will pour over instead of soaking in. Number four, you have to monitor like what's in the leachate and is anything going underneath. That's called leachate monitoring. And then number five, you got to be really careful about where you put it. There's a whole bunch of laws about where you're allowed to site a landfill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are federally mandated regulations about how you landfill. And what's interesting is we in the United States, we don't really have huge trash problems because most of our trash has been going into these carefully made landfills. But we don't have a lot of places that are good for new landfills. So what's crazy is like we don't really have as big of a problem because it's a big ass country with trash being a pollution problem, but we're running low on where to add more landfills. because of the siting issues. Anyway, that there's a diagram in your book that has that, and then there's like I think a 1 or 2 sentence section that tells you the name of the laws that set up those 5 standards, but those are the 5 requirements to be a sanitary landfill.